Cedo is Lavos' signature shotgun, recently arrived with Vorphic Venom and of course Lavos himself. If you're playing Warframe right now, you must have heard of this weapon, surely. But if you're in the dark as to why everyone's crazy about it, stick around to get the perfect build. I'm the Engineer, let's solve a practical problem. The Cedo's primary fire is nothing special. It's an automatic shotgun with good range, manageable spread, and decent enough ammo pool that a little ammo conversion should ensure you're topped up. Cedo's secondary fire, however, is entirely special. It launches a glaive from the top of the shotgun, roughly in the direction you are aiming. It has some slightly wonky homing on nearby enemies, and bounces between them like any other glaive, before returning to you. The return time can vary significantly, higher if you send the glaive on a longer journey, with more room between bounces. It also costs no ammo to fire this glaive, so you can pretty much just use it non-stop, although you can't use it whilst you're reloading. What's special about this is what this glaive actually does. It explodes on contact with anything, and additionally has direct hit damage should it strike an enemy directly. The glaive explosion has innate blast damage, a fixed 100% status chance, unaffected by mods, plus deals an extra basic elemental proc, be it heat, electric, cold or toxin, completely unaffected by mods. The direct impact has a variable status chance, starting at 50% with innate slash damage. So this means that even with zero mods, a single direct hit to an enemy will deal a slash proc half the time, always add a blast proc, and always add an additional basic elemental proc. Any other nearby enemies caught in the explosion also get the blast and basic element proc. If you start chucking some more mods onto the weapon, it gets spicier. A viral setup will add viral to both the direct hit and the explosion, pushing out the weak slash proc and the blast proc. While you can only launch one glaive at a time, the number of glaives launched is affected by multi-shot, meaning plus 100% multi-shot will guarantee 2 glaives flying about with independent direct hit status chance. Status chance is very nice, improving the status applied by the direct hits, but the rate at which the glaive explosion delivers status is only improved by multi-shot. More glaives, more forced procs. In effect then, multi-shot is 5 times more beneficial than status chance on this weapon. Okay, so you've got a status monster just bounding around the map, setting everything up with anywhere from 3 to 7 status procs in the blink of an eye. Any one of you who uses a melee weapon with condition overload modded onto it should already be salivating at the idea of this weapon being in your loadout. Healing return users should also be giddy too. The Cedo isn't done yet. The Cedo's primary fire has an innate condition overload-like effect, giving 60% extra damage per status on the target. So if you fire your Cedo with a 280% multi-shot, launching 3 glaives directly at the target, and successfully apply say 4 viral, a slash, a blast, a cold, a heat, a toxin and electric proc, you've set yourself up with 7 status procs straight away. This target is now receiving 175% bonus damage from the viral, and yet more if they have armor being eaten by the fire proc. You bring your primary fire to bear and get to enjoy 420% bonus damage. That's 2.5 times the bonus given by a primed point blank, and over 4.5 times the bonus of a standard point blank mod. If you account for the viral as well, and the damage output just jumped all the way over 11 times what you could have dealt before you launched this glaive. At this point, those of you hoping to use a Cedo as your main weapon are probably chuffed to bits. To my non-British viewers, chuffed to bits is a good thing. Taking into account all the curiosities of the gun, and accounting for the interaction with armor, this is a build I'd recommend for basically all of the missions outside of high level Grineer. Let's walk you through it. First, a single fire rate mod. The Cedo has enough magazine to make this worthwhile. It's a pure 90% DPS buff. You want this, it's simple. Laser sight is a conditional critical chance buff, which activates when you get a headshot. Not a headshot kill, mind you, just any headshot. I would hope that you could manage to get at least 1 pellet to hit the head of an enemy from time to time. This gives you a 120% extra crit chance while aiming for a short time. If you prefer not to use your aim button for a shotgun, no worries, switch down to the blunderbuss for 90% crit chance instead. You lose some potential DPS in exchange for less effort. Primed Ravage is your critical damage buff. At 110%, it's the best option uncontested, so grab it if you can. Failing that, you can use normal Ravage, which is 60%, or opt for the mod Shrapnel Shot, which is 99%, while aiming once you get a kill. While this is stronger than normal Ravage, not having that critical damage without a kill first, on top of the aiming requirement, can be a bit clunky, so feel for it yourself. Or, just get Prime Ravage. Come on, we're optimizing here, get it. After that, we've got Primed Point Blank. I can already hear someone typing in the comments about how Prime Point Blank is useless because of the built-in condition overload or something like that. I'm not going to hear it, I've already done the math. Without any status on a target, Prime Point Blank will be giving you 165% more damage. Even with 7 status procs on your target, it's a 32% damage increase, and that's more than you're going to get from basically any other mod in slot. Remember, this build is specifically against either unarmored targets or targets below level 100. We'll get to the alternative later. Onto the second row, we've got Toxic Barrage and Chilling Reload, giving you a very low drain cost for access to viral damage. On top of that, Toxic Barrage increases the status of your direct glaive hits, which is especially valuable now that they have a viral proc more often than a very weak slash. Chilling Reload, on the other hand, is substantially cutting down a rather long reload on this weapon. And at the end of these mods, we've got Vigilante Armaments and Hell's Chamber. These two together contribute a whopping 180% multi-shot, plus a little bit of crit enhancement through the Vigilante set effect. These are absolutely crucial mods, and if you don't already have them, why not? Get them. This is what's turning your glaive into glaives, plural. This whole combination, taking into account the aimed crit chance from laser sight, will give you a paper DPS of 59,000 when you've got no status procs applied, and this rises to 153,000 with 7 status procs applied. You can apply more, but that will require external support, such as a secondary weapon or Warframe ability. These numbers on their own are a bit meaningless though, so let's compare this with the weapon I just won't shut up about, the Fulmin. My go-to 8 former build for that weapon, which is 6 more formers than you'll need for the Cedo, does about 146,000 DPS in semi-automatic mode. The Cedo has the easy means to apply both viral and heat procs, significantly enhancing the potential of this weapon. One of each of those will roughly quadruple the damage against mid to higher level Grineer, and double against everything else. On the other hand, the Fulmin has innate body punch through, no setup required emission to scale its damage, and no ammo requirements. If your main damage source is your primary weapon, the Cedo will not be carrying any better than the Fulmin, but if your main damage is your melee weapon with condition overload, then you just got a big buff. Now I have mentioned a couple times that this build I've shown you is good for most of the missions, but if you're up against a Grineer after level 100, say you're on the steel path, then their armour means that Prime Point Blank should be swapped out for Hunter Munitions. At this point, the damage you can deal with Hunter Munitions, even taking into account the time it takes for slash procs to do their thing, means it takes the lead for usefulness. Hunter Munitions slash damage also scales with the damage scaling effect innate to the Cedo, allowing you to get some juicy damage done against the strongest opponents when you've got the status procs in play, at the cost of a higher time to kill against the weakest ones. Or, you know, you can just stick to melee too, that still works. Now the Cedo does have 2 major disadvantages. Firstly, without a means of ammo conversion or enhanced pickups, you will chew through ammo, especially against stronger enemies, so take that into consideration, although Lavos doesn't need to worry about this. Secondly, any enemy that is status immune, such as the Shadow Stalker, will laugh in the face of the Cedo. This is decidedly not an anti-sentient weapon for that reason, which is kind of funny. The reward for smashing sentience is something weak against sentience. But there you go, your Cedo is now built. Is it better than Fulmin? Well, yes, but actually no. Thank you very much for watching this guide. If it has helped you, definitely leave a like, and to see more guides as I upload them, tap subscribe as well. For now though, proc status, proc more status, proc even more status, and fight well, Tenno.